How war makes the U.S. economy grow. War destroys cities. It shatters families. And for most countries, war means economic collapse, inflation, and decades of recovery. But for the United States, history tells a different and uncomfortable story. Again and again, America has entered wars during times of crisis and emerged economically stronger than before. This is not coincidence. It is a pattern, one built into the structure of the American economy. To understand why, we must first understand how war interacts with money. War and economic crisis. Wars rarely begin during periods of economic stability. They often arrive when economies are fragile, divided, or slowing down. This was true in World War I. It was true in World War II. And it has been true in many conflicts since. When World War I ended in 1918, Europe was devastated. Factories were destroyed. Railways were broken. Governments were drowning in debt. The United States was different. While Europe fought on its own land, the American mainland remained untouched. American factories did not burn. They expanded. American banks did not collapse. They lent money. By the end of the war, the United States had transformed from a debtor into the world's largest creditor. Global capital began to flow toward American financial institutions because they represented stability in a broken world. War shifted economic power across the Atlantic. But World War II was the turning point that locked this relationship permanently into place. World War II and the creation of a war economy. Before World War II, the United States was trapped in the Great Depression. Unemployment was high. Factories sat idle. Economic growth had stalled for nearly a decade. Traditional solutions had not fully worked. War changed that. When the United States entered World War II, government spending exploded at a scale never seen before. Factories were converted overnight. Automobile plants produced tanks. Steel mills ran continuously. Shipyards expanded around the clock. Millions of Americans found work. This was not slow recovery. It was instant mobilization. By 1945, the United States controlled nearly half of the world's manufacturing output. No nation in modern history had ever achieved such dominance. But the more important change was financial. After the war, the US dollar became the foundation of the global monetary system. Other nations held dollars instead of gold. International trade flowed through American banks. War had not only saved the US economy, it had placed it at the center of global finance. From that point on, war was no longer a temporary emergency. It became an economic tool. War is fought with contracts. Wars are not fought only with soldiers. They are fought with contracts. When a major conflict begins, government spending does not increase slowly. It surges instantly. Trillions of dollars are approved for weapons systems, vehicles, aircraft, logistics, surveillance, cybersecurity, intelligence, and communications infrastructure. This money does not circulate evenly through society. It flows toward a specific group of companies that specialize in military and security production. Defense contractors do not compete for individual customers. They sell directly to governments, the most reliable customers in the world. Governments do not cancel orders during recessions. They do not negotiate aggressively in moments of fear. They pay. Contracts are long-term. Payments are guaranteed. Risk is reduced. As conflicts expand, defense budgets rise. As defense budgets rise, corporate profits rise with them. Entire industries scale at speeds impossible in consumer markets. This is not corruption. It is design. The military-industrial complex. This system has a name, the military-industrial complex. It refers to the relationship between government decision-makers, defense corporations, and financial interests. Political decisions authorize military spending. Military spending generates enormous profits. Those profits increase corporate influence. That influence, in turn, helps justify even higher spending. The system does not require wars to be won. It requires wars to continue. Victory ends contracts. Uncertainty expands them. Over time, national security becomes linked to economic growth. Defense spending becomes politically untouchable. War stops being a last resort. It becomes an economic stabilizer. Modern war and permanent spending. Modern war no longer ends when soldiers return home. Today's conflicts involve surveillance systems, satellites, private security firms, intelligence networks, cybersecurity infrastructure, and data collection. These systems do not disappear when fighting slows down. Emergency programs become permanent agencies. Temporary budgets become permanent line items. Short-term threats justify long-term systems. Each conflict leaves behind an expanded security state and a larger defense economy. From an economic perspective, the results often appear positive. GDP increases. Employment rises. Stock markets respond favorably. To markets, war looks like growth. The cost of war-driven growth. But this growth has a cost. War spending is financed through debt. When taxes do not cover expenditures, governments borrow. That debt does not disappear when wars end. Interest payments stretch across decades. Future generations inherit the cost of past conflicts. At the same time, endless military engagement creates political instability around the world. Conflicts multiply. New threats justify new spending. Economic growth becomes tied to permanent crisis. Peace becomes expensive. War becomes normal. The money moves quickly upward toward contracts, corporations, and investors. The responsibility moves slowly downward toward taxpayers. Why the pattern continues? From a narrow economic perspective, war works. It stimulates industry. It creates jobs. It stabilizes certain sectors. That is why the pattern continues. But reliance on war as an economic engine creates long-term dependency. Growth becomes dependent on instability. Fear becomes profitable. The economy adapts to crisis instead of resolution. Conclusion. For most countries, war represents destruction and recovery. For the United States, war has become something else. It is an economic engine. A system built on emergency. Sustained by contracts. Protected by political necessity. Every war tells two stories. The public story, about security, freedom, and defense. And the financial story, about money, incentives, and growth. Understanding modern war means understanding that second story. Because once war becomes profitable, it stops being temporary,